All right, everybody. Happy New Year to you all. Welcome back to a new side series I'm going to be doing alongside Joshy. Joshy's just going to last for such a long time that it's eventually going to get stale, just relying on it by itself. So I wanted to start things off with the new year with a new little side series that I hope you will enjoy, and it should be fairly familiar to you all. I kind of teased about it in the Joshy playthrough at some point, that it was going to be an official set, and well, here it is. It is the original CC1 in MSCC. Thanks to that wine VDM thing that makes playing the original on modern hardware possible. It's honestly such a godsend. You might notice that the background and the digits on the side here are not the traditional colors you are used to seeing from MSCC, with the green background and the green digits and the yellow digits when there's 0 chips left and stuff. And the overlay is also different compared to what Joshy has, and that is because we're not just going to be playing CC1 in MSCC. We're going to be playing it in the black and white tile set. That is right. We are going to be doing this in black and white. This has been something I've wanted to do for a pretty long time, actually. I just never had the enthusiasm to go through with it. And this tile set gets dinged on pretty hard. Well, not pretty hard, but it gets dinged on pretty much any time it gets brought up, it gets dinged on. And I understand why. It's not the most colorblind friendly thing out there, but at least they put some thought into it. At least they provided a colorblind thing for people who, I assume this is for colorblind people. I don't know, I'm not smart. But I want to play it in the black and white tile set. I think it'd be an interesting experience to play a set I'm fairly familiar with, or I should be fairly familiar with. It's been a long time since I played the original CC1 anyway. And it should be fun. I hope you all have a fun time watching this. I mean, if it's not your forte, then that's fine. But just keep in mind, I'm the one playing it, not you. And it should be interesting, because the funny thing is about this black and white tile set is the way things are converted from their color counterparts. Like the keys here, you can see they have 1 dot and 2 dots here, and you have to match the dots. Buttons are also different with how they're labeled and stuff, and everything else is pretty much the same. I think it's just the keys, the doors, and the buttons, and I guess the teleports and the recessed walls would be something else too, but I don't know. I used to fiddle around with the black and white tile set when I was a kid, when I played the original game, but I was a kid. I didn't really know any better on what I was doing. So let's just go ahead and get on with it. This is lesson 1. Everyone is familiar with it. These lesson levels should be fairly easy to play. Okay, that's a yellow key. We are not going to be getting the bold time on this, but that's okay. Alright. Lesson 2. I guess we can look at the OBS. What it shows in OBS. Alright, lesson 3. See, boots are pretty distinguishable in black and white. Force forwards look pretty cool. Okay, here's the button. Our first case of buttons. Alright, so the outline is a toggle button. Okay, that's pretty easy to know. So yeah, I think this will be a fun little thing to do on the side. I'm not sure if I'm going to do this with the other CCLPs. I think it'd be more it might be more interesting in the other CCLPs just because, you know, how often do you see those get played in MSCC? It's absolutely possible. Okay. Lesson 5. Okay, so the plus sign is a clone button. And the trap button has a T next to it, and traps also have a T on them. Okay, good to know. Blue walls are black walls, I guess. And lesson 7, teleports. Alright, teleports have little cross arrows. And immediately screwed up because you're not supposed to get both boots at once, buddy.
Bummer.
Let's just die. Alright, so we got our first death, which is honestly embarrassing. And we are going to keep track of them. Okay, and lesson 8. Ooh, gravel looks actually pretty cool in black and white. Okay. Nuts and bolts. I might have taken a little too far with making the digits black and white and the background black and white. But it's authentic. I can see the time limit just fine, so... And honestly, it's CC1. I mean, how often is the time limit going to be a problem? This is just a fun excuse to play CC1 again, but with a twist. Because one thing I noticed, or I kind of did a little bit of research on this, is I've never seen any YouTube evidence of someone actually playing this in this tile set. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is the first instance anyone's ever done this. Which was kind of the driving factor behind wanting to do it, is because, hey, you know, there's a first for everything, and this is going to be my time to shine, and do it in this tile set. I actually thought about taking it one step further and making my camera black and white, but I think that's a little too much. Oh, my phone is on. Alright. Brush fire is next. So I don't really know how many parts this series is going to be. I can't imagine it's going to be very long. Probably at least maybe 10. 10 parts if I had to say. Okay, can I get the bolt time on this? No, I can't. That's okay. We're not aiming for optimizing. Alright, Trinity. Now we're moving on to actual levels. So I guess one thing I can talk about, since this is CC1, is, I can talk about, the walls of CC1 project, since we used all these wall templates for levels. I haven't been doing that yet, but this template I used for Crown Tundra. I think you want to go this way. These narrow corridors, when you have wall templates like this, it's pretty hard to make a wall sub-level out of them. So all I did was just use the, I just made a bunch of ice slides. Because that's like the best way to do it, in my opinion, with single tile corridors. So I hope your guys' new year went well. Mine started off pretty rough. My work didn't pay me in time, so I was forced to go an extra 5, possibly even 6 days without pay. So I'm more or less pretty broke. So that was a little depressing, but I've gotten over it. It's coming up to the end of the little second vacation from work because of the holidays and stuff, and after this is working 5 months straight without any extra days off besides the weekends. So that's always going to be fun. And speaking of fun, got everyone's favorite hunt level. Ooh, almost gotten by that guy. A lot of people don't like this level because this is all it is just collecting a bunch of chips. But when you have the context of the original game in mind, it actually makes a lot of sense for a level like this to be in the original set. Because at the time, this was the game. Chips challenge, collect chips and get past the socket to get to the exit. So to have a whole level filled with them, and you need a lot, is pretty fun. And one thing me and my brother used to do was we would go into this level, like one of us would go into the level and play it, and we would collect a bunch of chips, right? And kind of cut, like this was our way of making our own levels, because at the time, we didn't have access to a level editor, or the only level editor that existed at the time, which was Chip Edit. So what we would do is we would go into Hunt. One of us would play it and collect a certain number of chips and basically change the chips left counter to something else. And then obviously the time limit would be lower than what you're given. And then once we were done, we would pause it, and the other brother, either me or my brother, would jump in and collect the remainder and then solve it. And I actually made a level based off this story, verses from Josh L7. That's why the chips are all scattered in weird configurations. that is hunt completed. I do want to know, like, with all the chips in this level, I think there's like 780 something in this overall. I kind of wonder why they picked 652. Like, 652 is a random number to pick from. So I wonder if there's any significance behind it. What was the name of this level? As much as I don't like South Pole, this has a special place in my heart for being the first template I used for walls of CC1. I retained all the ice corners and made a pretty fun like collection, like clean up the mess kind of level, which I'm really happy with. I hope that gets into CC LP6 one day. It's called Sanitation Station. Really fun idea. And it's so unconventional to pick to start a walls up project with the level that only had like maybe 3 walls in it. But I felt like of the templates I had at the time, this is what this is one of the ones I figured I'd struggle with the most. So I wanted to get it out of the way as soon as possible. All right, teleblock. Okay, key collection does matter because one of these paths does not have a red key. I also thought about streaming this instead of Joshi a couple of times, but I feel like no one would really care for it. So I think it'd be better just as a video series, strictly. Nope, I hear my cat. She wants out of my room. I'll have to let her out after this level is done. All right, one more block. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with how this is handling with the controls. Usually there's a little bit of lag, but there has not been any that I've noticed, at least. Moving on, elementary is next. Okay, I guess this one you do kind of have to worry about the time limit a little bit, but not too unreasonable, I don't think. Alright, let's just get all the boots. And let's just start in the fire section for no strict reason. So I think this template is what JB used for, I forget the level he made out of this. It's like Push the Wind, I think it was called. All he used was just the center formation of the level. So all these paths with the elements, he didn't use, which is understandable. Because like I said with Trinity, there's not a whole lot you can do with single tile corridors like this. And the other thing with Walls of CC1 was we kind of had to force ourselves to make smaller levels if we could help it. Because a lot of these templates are just, they take up the whole entire map. So if there wasn't really a use case for certain parts of a level template, they just weren't used, or they were just used as aesthetics instead. And that's always a fun decision to do. I'm trying to think of any of what levels I made that didn't use all the space given. Weeping Reclusa was one of them that used the thin walls of Double Maze and only retained to a little portion of the template. Alright, we will step on that thief once we get these 2 chips. I gotta say, it's really nice playing CC1 again. It's very refreshing to play something that isn't your own level. Alright, elementary done. Cell blocked is next. Okay, let's see if I can remember the path for this level. I think it's this way. So this template I made, I also used pretty early on in Walls of CC1. I made a level called the Grand Slammer, which has yet to be played by Bowman in his Let's Play. He's almost there, though. He's already in the last decade of that set. And that was like my capstone of the set, more or less. It's a very big variety level with every room being something different. And look at that, first try. Pretty fun stuff. I'm looking forward to what he thinks of that level. Alright, nice day. Got an itch on my knee. Our first introduction to walkers as well. And it's a nice day because we didn't get pulted by one. Alright, Castle Moat. This is going to be another freebie. You know, I could try, instead of resorting to just getting the flippers and exiting. Nah, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to get the flippers and exit. I can't be bothered to extract all these blocks. But I use this template for Gas Moxia. Honestly, pretty fun wall pattern. These walls in this Silcoman were pretty fun to use. It was that big open space on the outside that I had trouble with the most. But once I determined I was going to keep the castle formation, just swap the tiles out, it became pretty clear on what to do with it. Digger, I hardly knew her. Dirt looks pretty funny in black and white. It's like all gray. I'll just take the safe approach. So my goal for the death counter, I'm going to try to aim for like less than 100 if I can. All right, get up here. There we go. I think less than 100 is a very easy goal. I can probably push it and make it less than 50 if I can help it. Ooh, that was risky. Okay, a little bit of trouble here. But nothing I can't handle. A guy like me can't handle it. Or can handle it. Alright, digger done. Toss salad. This level was a weird one to make a walls up level out of. Especially this little corridor right here. This was awkward to use. Originally, I had a fireball cloning mechanism that you had to constantly open up to progress, but I realized that was a pretty tedious thing to do. So I changed the design of what I made. I think it's called Audis Salsa, which is just an anagram of tossed salad. Yeah, I changed the design significantly. Alright, just wait for these guys. Wait for these guys. And exit. Easy stuff. Funny that it's busted. Alright, iceberg. Another template I used, I retained all the ice slides. Okay, I think you want one more block. I struggled with this level as a kid. It's very unclear that you have to come up here. Alright, what's the path? I think it's that right there. Yeah, and I didn't know this path even existed when I was a kid. I used to take the long way to get to the exit in this, but anyway, forced entry. Alright, this one's gonna be maybe easy. I never really liked this level. This is a pretty lame level. Yep, did an illegal move in Links, but who cares? We're playing MS. Come on, get that chip, thank you. Alright, let's go on the edge. Get these guys. Alright. Not too bad, all things considered. Ooh, Blobnet. I suspect the death counter will finally get increased.
Bummer.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does. Yeah, the fact this level exists is crazy to me.
Bummer.
Yeah. Alright, let's just keep that open. Might as well keep it open, because it's going to happen a lot.
Bummer.
Yep. 4. Okay, so far so good. I'm going to save those 2 chips for last. Just based off prior experience, I have learned that it's good to save them. And the fact that the developers of this game left this to be a timed level is crazy to me. Alright, we're over halfway done. It would be devastating to get a death now. Ooh, that was close. I think I got lucky with the step parity. Okay, just 4 more. We got 2 right here and 2 by the exit. Alright, guy, just get out of my way. Alright, good. Not as many deaths as I expected. Cool. Alright, well that was like the real hurdle of this first video. I guess we'll just go to level 25 and call it done. So let's do Odor Grilled next. Let's see. There's like no real... I guess like that. Do it that way. Alright, we're just going to be doing this for a while. So something I've been doing with my new year lately is I've been doing some gaming. I have certainly been gaming this year. A friend of mine gifted me 7 Days to Die on Steam, and I have been playing that pretty heavily. And that doesn't really sound like a game you would think I would like. But it's honestly a lot of fun. It's kind of like Minecraft. If you know how Minecraft is, you know, you collect stuff, you kill monsters, you craft stuff, and you just kind of build like your own little fort and stuff. It's basically like that, but just with actual blood and stuff. And obviously the graphics are pretty good. I haven't been playing it by myself though. I've been playing it with my dad. For those who are not aware, I guess I can just briefly touch on it. My dad has re-entered my life about 2 years ago. Actually, it'll be 2 years this April since he's re-entered my life. He basically left when I was a baby, and I don't want to really touch up too much upon it because it's really no one's business, but just to provide a little bit of context for the sake of, you know, transparency. My parents were young when they had me. Let's just leave it at that. And my dad made a lot of mistakes in life, but he He has been wanting to come back into my life for a long time, and I've pushed him away pretty heavily in the past. But as time went on, as I got older, I kind of realized to just accept it. Like I took where I was at in my life at the time and where I currently am still in my life. I took it as an opportunity, as like, hey, someone wants to be in your life. You know, they're showing it, and the people you currently have in your life, you don't feel like they value you that much. And I felt this way for years, with all sorts of friendships and stuff. And we're just gonna do Blink pretty in the usual cycle. So I took a look at that, and I said, you know, the people I have in my life, I don't feel like they value me that much. And if they do, they don't really show it that well. So why not give the guy a chance, you know? Of course, it's all circumstantial, and this doesn't apply to everything. You know, if you're in a similar predicament or whatever, you know, obviously don't do what I did. It's very circumstantial. The circumstances are always going to be different. And for me, I think the circumstances behind my predicament are very okay, I'm not going to go that way yet. Are very specific. And I don't really view him as my dad. Like, yeah, biologically and realistically, yes, he is my dad. But I kind of look at it as that's just another friend, you know, another friend that's mostly online. I mean, I've hung out with him a couple times. He's come out here to California, and I spent some time with him. We went to Yosemite together and stuff like that. Went to Oregon as well. That was a fun little road trip. And as the old saying goes, time heals all wounds. It just depends on how big the wound is. So playing 7 Days to Die with him is more or less kind of like a bonding thing. But I've been enjoying the game. It's a lot of fun, and I do wish more people had it. I don't have a lot of friends on Steam, and the ones I do don't seem to have the game. I can kind of see why they don't. But there's worse offenders of like blood and gore style video games out there. Well, that's just me. Okay, I think we're at the last cycle. We can go... I gotta go right through that teleport. I forget how to do that. Okay, it's not that one. It's not this one. Yeah. Not this one. This level's pretty boring. Wait, maybe it is this one. No, it's not. I have to go right through a different teleport. Or maybe it's right here. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Yeah, Blink is a level that I want to like. I think it's, pretty simple and pretty basic and stuff. Did I get this one? Yeah, I did. In terms of walls of CC1, all I did was I mostly turned all the walls into toggle walls and just made like a teeth melee level. Kind of similar to Phantasmal Stalkers, but it had block pushing, which I think helps it stand out from the other ones. And block pushing while toggle walls are flickering is always going to be an iffy concept, but I think as long as they're all the same state. Okay, I have to go down through this one. There we go. As blink. Alright. I think that's good progress today. I gotta make a couple cuts because I had to let my cat out and I took a look at some things online real quick. But that will be it for today's first episode of CC1 in black and white. Honestly, nothing unfamiliar so far. I'm pretty used to the tile set already, so I can't really see any future levels being much of a hurdle, except those obvious like blob dance and the block pushing levels and stuff. But good stuff today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching. My back is killing me because my posture is all messed up. Next time we'll start off with chips and probably do another 25 levels. I think the obvious hurdle coming up is on the rocks, but everything else is pretty straightforward. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope this is something that you are keen to. And if not, that's perfectly okay. The Joshy content will still happen along the side. Don't you worry, that nothing is happening with that. Thank you all for watching. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time.